Okay. So we're beginning our relaxation class standing in mountain pose, pressing the right and the left foot equally into the earth and feeling our relationship to gravity. And then just to start to bring the breath back deep into the lungs, let's have a little bit of movement with the arms. As you inhale, lift the arms up, reach as high up to the sky as you can, and then exhale, dropping the arms back to your sides. And moving with your own breath. And keeping the movements rather slow and languid, not forcing yourself into any particular deep stretch. This is simply just to bring air deeper into the lungs and help us get a bit more of a connection to how we're breathing. It might have been a busy day and you might have had to think about a bunch of other things. And then let your arms rest at your sides. Take a breath in and out, staying in Tadasana. And then let's take the legs a little bit of a distance apart. We're going to do a little variation on Warrior Two. And this is a very soft, slow, kind of meditative Warrior Two. So not as wide a stance as you might take at other times of the day when you practice. Let's start by rotating the right leg out so the toes are pointing to the short edge of your mat. And know that you can step the left foot forward a little bit, turn it in a little bit so it's pigeon-toed. Just if any of those things help create a sense of space in your pelvis. And so on the inhale, let's inhale again, lifting the arms, reaching to the sky. And as you exhale, bending into the right knee and turning gently to look down the right middle finger. So inhale, lift up out of the pose, reach to the sky, and then exhale, sink into the hips as you move gently to your Warrior Two. Try to slow down as much as you can, so you're really dragging the breath out. And think of these movements as a way to connect heaven and earth. We're inhaling and exhaling. And then let's release, turn the legs so that they're parallel to each other and just rest for a breath in between sides. So the point of this movement of slowing down and connecting to the breath is to help bring all those busy bits of yourself back into one place. In order to feel safe and relaxed and release into a nice night's sleep, we need to feel contained. We need to feel like we've knit things back together. Let's rotate the left leg out and we'll come into the same movement on the other side. Know that you can adjust the legs so that your pelvis feels spacious, and this isn't the deepest Warrior Two you can do. Inhale, reach for the sky. Exhale, connect to gravity and to the earth, gently looking to the left. And when you turn your head, you're turning your head just a gentle amount, not so that you're really trying to crane your head around, but just so that you can gently move tension around if there's any hiding in your neck. Slowing the breath down as much as you can. Being gentle in your movements. Even though we're doing such a powerful pose, being gentle in our movements. Let's take one more breath. And then releasing and bringing the feet parallel. We're going to come into perhaps a forward fold here. And we may want to create a little bit of a vinyasa with this. If you don't like dropping your head all the way to the ground, take your chair, bring your chair in front of you, and just bring your head to the seat of the chair, because that's going to work just fine. So with the legs fairly far apart, but not too far apart, and your big toes closer to each other, and the heels farther away from each other, so again, you're kind of pigeon-toed. Inhale, nice and long through the spine, and exhale, gently forward fold. Now maybe you're just coming to the chair, or your hands are coming to blocks or the floor. Inhale, come halfway up, lengthen the spine. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, come all the way up. And repeating that simple flow with your own breath pace. Trying to make the movement soft not forcing to your full stretch. And moving slower and slower and slower. Let's try this last little movement, this last little vinyasa, even slower than we started. And then we'll come all the way up after that last little routine. Bring the legs together and revisit mountain pose before we start moving closer to the earth. So I'm going to angle my camera just a little bit differently here. I'm going to come to table pose. So if you like to use your chair for table pose, I'll demonstrate from there. Otherwise, you can come right to hands and knees. Because this is evening, and in this practice, we're using a lot of like little tricks to talk to your nervous system, making your nervous system feel safer, more protected, more loved. One of the little tricks you can do is use more props so that your body feels more cushioned. So if you're on a hard surface and you're going to do hands and knees, put a blanket under your knees. And maybe today is the day you choose the chair option just because it's a little bit kinder for your body. And then we're going to move a little bit from here. As you inhale, shift the body weight forward so the chest is pulling up between the arms. As you exhale, shift the body weight back, knees are soft, and spine rounds out. Now, if you want to, there's a little trick that I use here to start really calming the nervous system, and that's to begin to lengthen the exhales. That means this movement of arching the spine and pulling back takes longer than this movement. Start to drag out the flexing of the spine, the cat back, so to speak. Move a little faster as you come forward with the chest. And then take your time as you round the back, coming back. Let's do that for 3 more breaths. Maybe closing your eyes so that you can, really start to feel the soothing capacity of this movement for your nervous system. And then let's come down onto our bellies into crocodile pose. Now this is when I'm going to start using a little bit of propping because like I said, I'm having this intimate conversation with my nervous system. It doesn't involve any words. It's about walking the walk. So I've taken a folded blanket, placed it on the floor. Now if you're on a carpet, it's not that essential. But I've taken this folded blanket on the floor to cushion the whole front of my body so that I don't feel any really harsh angles. Bring your hands forward to cushion your forehead. You can still breathe comfortably. We're going to take just a couple breaths here in what's known as crocodile pose. Now, if you find crocodile pose really uncomfortable for you, then please just roll over onto your back, bend your knees, stand your feet on the floor, and we will be rejoining you in just a moment after we're done in this work in crocodile pose. You can definitely follow along with the breathing instructions, even if you're on your back. So for a couple breaths, we're going to get a little dramatic with how we're breathing. Take a deep breath in and fill your lungs as though they were balloons and you wanted to really fill them up as much as possible. And then as you exhale, slowly let the breath come out your lips, your pursed lips. And it might take a long time to exhale the air. It's almost like you were blowing out your birthday candles and you're at your 100th birthday. So inhale as much air into the lungs as you feel that you can. And then if you have your head turned to one side, which is fine, I just suggest now you turn the other cheek to the ground so you get an equal stretch. And let's do one more of those dramatic kind of birthday party breaths. Good. And then from here, let's press up to all fours and come to a comfortable seated position. Now, if you are lying on your back, you might want to roll to your side and push up from the floor that way. And for some of us, a comfortable seated position will mean using a chair. So I'll demonstrate with the chair. If you choose to work from a seated position on the ground, then what you want to make sure that you have is your hip joints higher than your knee joints. And that's sometimes why the chair is a better option. Just change the angle of my camera slightly so I can see you a bit better. We're going to come into some gentle twisting here. So whether you're seated on blankets, a block, or the chair, it all kind of comes out in the wash. Allow your legs to be heavy and your sitting bones to root firmly towards the earth. So feel the sense of gravity pulling on the bones of your lower body. And then when you're ready, inhale, come up nice and tall with the spine, and exhale, gently turn to one side. Inhale, come back to center, and exhale, turn to the other side. So continue with that, slowing the breath down, because it's amazing how fast we start to rush the breath, isn't it? So I'm going to come down onto the ground so that I can join those who have decided to sit on the ground. When you come back to the first side, stay here if you can. Try to make sure both sitting bones are into the earth just the way you started. We're going to work a little bit with where you're looking with your head. So turn your head as far over to this shoulder as is comfortable. Don't crank your neck, but just turn your head gently. Good. And then look up and see what you can see. You can see some of the props on my shelf here. So I'm going to fix my gaze on what I can see here. And then as I exhale, I'm going to start to turn my head, but I'm going to keep my gaze fixed on whatever it was I spied on that prop shelf. Inhale, turn your chin over towards that shoulder gently again. And then exhale, keep your gaze fixed over to the side, but begin to turn your chin forward. You want to keep your eyes fixed on that object. One more time. We're moving very slowly and gingerly here. And this doesn't work terribly well for everybody every day. And then on your next exhale, let yourself unwind, look forward, squeeze your eyes shut, make kind of a pruny face. Inhale, relax, and exhale, let it all go. Resting your eyes for just a breath here. If you've been sitting in a chair, your legs are fine right where they are, but if you've been sitting cross-legged on the ground, change the cross of your legs. Notice I didn't use my hands to bully my legs into doing anything here. Good. And then we'll just take that twist to the other side and do the same thing. So inhale nice and tall, exhale, easy twist. Now turn your head towards this shoulder and just whatever you see here. So I'm looking at my bookshelf. I'm going to pick one book to focus on. Inhale here. Exhale, keep looking at the book and turn your head center as much as you can without losing your gaze. And then inhale, softly turn the head again. So what my teacher called this was releasing the mind from the tyranny of the eyes. So we don't realize how strained our eyes are during the day. And this is just kind of pulling gently at the muscles and releasing some of the entanglement. On your next exhale, just releasing. Squeeze the eyes shut, make the dried apple doll face, and then take an inhale, relax. Exhale. Let your eyes open again, and we're going to move down to the floor to do a few stretches. So once again, talking to the nervous system in a very intimate way, I'm going to use the blanket under my spine so that I have cushioning for all the sharp angles or the bones. I'm going to move my chair out of the way now. Maybe have a sip of tea. So positioning yourself on the ground, knees bent, feet on the floor. My intention is to stay down here for the remainder of the class. So if you need to get any blankets or pillows or other things for our extended Shavasana tonight, you'll want to arrange that now. I have all my stuff ready here. I'm going to come down onto my back. If you are using a folded blanket to cushion your spine, make sure it cushions your spine right from the back of your head to the bottom of your sacrum. I'm going to come into some gentle bridge pose type movements now, just to kind of reverse the effects of gravity that have been felt all day long as we went through our day. And this helps us to kind of shake up any stuck energy in the body. This is a version of bridge pose where you might take your arms back behind your head. You don't have to do that part if it feels too effortful tonight. And of course, these don't have to be the highest bridge poses you can do. Our focus is relaxation tonight. So let's start with playing with that breath ratio again like we did before. As you inhale, lift up into bridge pose, go fairly smoothly, and then exhale, really see if you can slow it down. Slow it down. Slow it down. And play around with that, going fairly, efficiently on the way up, and then really taking your time as you lower down. Really trying to see if you can make the movement of your body match the movement of your arms and match the pace of your breath. Overall, this is a very slow, patient process. So maybe we'll do this 2 more times unless you're getting tired and rather not. And that's fine too, because our focus here is relaxation. Calming and coddling the nervous system after what is always a busy and sometimes a little bit nerve-wracking day. Beautiful. After you come down this time, let's just really take a moment to relax on purpose and really sink the body into the earth. I've got one more little suggestion for movement, very slow movement really. When you're ready to inhale, let the breath come into the lungs. As you exhale, gather the right knee in towards your chest and let the left leg stretch out on the floor. The left leg be as heavy as you can make it. And take a few deep breaths. The left leg very heavy. The left leg getting heavier. Grounding more deeply. On your next inhale, lift the left leg in and stretch out the right leg, and we'll do knee to chest pose on the other side. Now your right leg is very heavy. The breath is slow, maybe even slower than it's been any other time in class tonight. Notice any tension that maybe has been hiding through the chest or the shoulders, the neck, even the tongue muscle, the jaw, the worry lines in the brow. Notice if you're bringing any of that into this pose, and can you exhale and let it go a little bit softer. A couple more breaths. And then we can release both feet to the floor. And just notice the presence of the floor, the solidity of the earth. We'll be working with that in our relaxation practice. So if there's any other movement that you need, of course, go ahead and adjust to that. Let me show you how I thought we might set up for relaxation. So we've got some cushioning underneath the spine here. And I have a yoga bolster. If you don't have a yoga bolster, you can roll up a blanket, or maybe there's a pillow on your couch or something that will do. I'm going to bring this yoga bolster down towards the bottom of the mat. We'll use that in a second. I also have a pillow. This is an old pillow, but I know it's perfect to cushion my neck. I want a roll of a washcloth, a towel, or an old pillow that just meets the curve of my neck. So it doesn't lift my head up unnaturally. It's just enough so that the bones of my cervical spine can feel the kiss from the earth underneath. So I'm going to use that under my neck. If you have an eye pillow or something to cut out the light in your room, that's a wonderful thing to use as well. So we want to make sure we have enough padding for our spine, sacrum in particular. I find that that's the biggest challenge. And we're going to come to lie down. We'll start in constructive rest. So I have the bolster or the blanket roll underneath my legs. All I'm going to do now is let the soles of my feet come together and let the knees open apart from each other. Now the bolster or the pillow from your couch or the rolled blankets you found will keep your knees up so you're not in a deep stretch here. This is not your traditional butterfly stretch. This is just a nice release for the hips. The idea is to feel very supported all the way through the groins, the low back, the thighs, not to feel a stretch. If you feel a stretch, you need more support. You have to get more pillows, more blankets rolled underneath your legs. The alternative, if you try this, and this is just the simplest, most comfortable way that I found to do it, but if you find that that's not working for you, let me show you an alternative. You can get blankets or pillows, and I'll use this blanket here, roll them up really big. So you might have to fold over your pillow a couple times, and you can tuck it right here beside your hip, and that will hold your leg in position. I don't find this as relaxing. I feel more stretch, and I don't want to feel any stretch when I'm doing my relaxation. Remember, we're talking about that really intimate, secret conversation with your nervous system that you can't even find words for. And so these little tricks really help. Okay. So you've got yourself, I'm hoping, into a comfortable position. Now, if the position that I have suggested for you tonight doesn't feel comfortable for you, then take a Shavasana position that you know that you like. And then see if it's possible to make yourself just a little bit more comfortable. Even if you can make yourself 5% more comfortable, it will make a difference to your nervous system. Making sure you're warm enough, because even though it's like 90,000 degrees outside, as you relax, some of your blood flow might be shunted away from your extremities, and you might find your feet and hands get cold, so you might want an extra blanket for on top. And I'll just reiterate about the pillow under your head. You want support for your neck, but not your head lifted unnaturally. Often we use way too much pillow when we sleep, and so we don't want to do that here in our relaxation practice. Okay, so let's let yourself land. Let your body land on the ground completely. So we're landing, feeling the places in our body that connect to the earth. And if there's any way to arrange a little towel or tuck the blanket a little bit differently so that you feel supported in all of your nooks and crannies. so you can land your body more completely to the ground. And now that you have landed your body to the ground, please let your breath arrive in your body. So becoming aware of breathing, as we have been trying to build some intimacy with the breath throughout practice tonight. So let your breath arrive in your body. Begin to notice that there are multiple parts to your breathing. You can feel the air coming in on the inhale. There might be a slight natural pause at the top of the inhale. You're not making that happen, it just might naturally be there. And then you have the exhale. For a moment, can we focus a bit more at the pause at the end of your exhale? If you can, become aware that at the end of your exhale is a natural invitation to just be peaceful for a second, to just pause, just notice the space. There's no need to worry at all about the inhale. The inhale will come all on its own. One of my teachers used to say, the universe breathes us. So just keep the focus as best as you can on that natural pause at the end of the exhale. And as we go through this exploration, you may notice that that pause gets a little longer, and it's fine to let it get a little longer if it's comfortable for you. So we're focusing on the breath, on the pause after the exhales. And if you're anything like me, you have to kind of let yourself pause. It's not a natural thing for me. I have to consciously give myself permission to be still for a second and relax on purpose. In that pause, we relax expectations. During that pause, we relax our judgments. And in that pause, we can really let go of all the shoulds in our lives. During that pause, after the exhale, we can listen. We can listen to things beyond words. We can listen beyond our normal knowing. We can listen deeply. We can listen into the space at the end of the exhale. Just like the breath, when we get out of the way, wisdom flows through us. So just like the breath, when we get out of the way of ourselves, wisdom flows through us very naturally. pause here and soften and receive. Let's really feel what's happening tonight. So you're letting your body land on the ground. All day long you've held yourself up against gravity, but now let the earth receive you. Legs held completely by the ground. So letting the weight of your legs sink into the bolsters and pillows and blankets that you've arranged. Let your legs be held completely by the ground. And let your seat land heavily on the floor. Relaxing across the buttocks muscles. Allowing spaciousness all through the pelvis and the groins. Remember, there's no need to feel stretch here. That's the furthest thing from our minds tonight. We want to feel supported by the ground and able to really trust that it's safe and comfortable to let go. So there's lots of pillows and blankets receiving the weight of your bones. Your upper back and your shoulders and your head releasing into the blankets underneath you, the pillows you're using. The ground will carry you. The ground actually longs to carry you, so your breath can fill you. The ground longs to carry you, so you can receive the breath. All day long you've toiled and worked hard. Now it's time for us to realign with the natural forces of our world that want to help you feel more relaxed. They want to carry you into a restorative night's sleep. So let the ground carry you. Let your breath arrive in your body. There's no need to go grabbing for it. The universe will breathe you. Relax and the inhale comes. Let your breath flow freely. Be as soft and welcoming to the breath as you can. Let your breath be received by a softening belly. So the position that we've placed our legs in this evening naturally can communicate that secret communication we have with our nervous systems, no words required. The positioning of the legs can communicate into the belly that it's safe to take off the armor, to let all of the organs of the belly rest deeply. Let your breath soften the belly. Let your breath gently find anywhere in your body if there's any clenching. Just opening up awareness to the full body and noticing if, there might be some artificial holding in the fingers even. If you're clenching your jaw unnecessarily, the toes, can they relax a little bit more? So let your breath gently find any clenching or any other barriers that you discover as you open to sensation here. Sometimes when I'm practicing my evening relaxation, it's a mental barrier I discover. I should be doing all these other things. So if you discover something like that, just soften. Let the breath soften that. Bring a kindliness and a patience, even a loving quality as the breath explores any clenching or barriers that you discover. Let your breath soften any tension that it might meet. After a long day, achieving all that you set out to do, now it's a shift. There is nothing to resist here, nothing to do, nothing to solve, no need to push or force. All of that is the opposite of the healing we want to do as we move towards sleep tonight. Your breath will soften you in time, if you let it. Your breath will care for you. Your breath is there in the background all the time, even when you're far too busy and important to notice it. But your breath will care for you, and it wants to care for you right now. So let your breath arrive in your body. And just as the breath waves in and out from your body, so will all sensation. Physical sensations, mental impressions, emotions. Relax with all that rises and falls. It's the nature of life to breathe and to experience this wave-like sensation of thought and feeling and physical sensation. Relax with all that rises and falls. And then relax a little bit more on purpose. Notice a little bit of resistance here or there, and relax a little bit more on purpose. Relax and receive your breath. Let the waves of your breath rise and fall. Belly rising and falling with the breath. Experiencing a liquid belly. Liquid belly. Let everything rise and fall on its own. From this place of witnessing the breath rising and falling in the body, once again orient to the pause that naturally occurs at the end of the exhale. Let yourself pause and relax. In this pause, we relax our expectations. In this pause, we let go of judgments. In this pause, there are no shoulds. We listen in a place where words are unnecessary. And we feel the knowledge that is beyond knowing. We're listening into the space at the end of the exhale. And just like the breath, when we get out of the way, wisdom flows through us. Tonight we are pausing. We are noticing the end of the exhale. We're softening to receive that break, that rest. We're taking this time to feel our whole experience, rising and falling like the breath. Wisdom whispers in this space between the doing. In this soft openness, in this receptive place, wisdom whispers. Listen deeply. Listen into the vast space at the end of your exhale. Wisdom whispers in this space between the doings. What do you need to know right now? What do you need to know right now? You're welcome to stay in this restorative place as long as you feel it's useful to you. But you may choose to move now very slowly and languidly, very mindfully, to a comfortable seat. That could be back onto the chair or onto the stack of blankets or block that you used earlier. When you come to your comfortable seat, maybe you close your eyes. What we've been doing tonight in our evening practice is we were training. We were actually doing practice, just like you would for an athletic event, but we are practicing pausing. We have been learning to pause and relax on purpose. And in these pauses, you may discover you can make more room for curiosity and listening and insight. In our relaxation tonight, we were practicing listening and inhabiting open space, the pauses after the exhales. And while you sit just in this kind of meditative position, keeping the softness in your body that you may have discovered during relaxation, just think of a situation that might have occurred today, any situation. Maybe it was something that was mildly disconcerting or annoying. And just imagine being able to, on purpose, when you recognized that you had an uncomfortable sensation or situation, to be able to feel your feet on the ground, to take a breath, pause at the end of the exhale, and listen for the wisdom. It's always there. Opening up to the possibilities available to you in that moment. And in this way, over time, we can begin to rewire our habitual responses to the stresses in our lives. We are making room for curiosity and listening and insight. We are practicing listening rather than reacting. Let's just sit, if we can, for a few quiet breaths, letting all of this be absorbed in a deep knowing without thinking. And then you might like to take your hands together in a prayerful position at the heart and join me in chanting Om to just weave our learning even deeper into every cell of the being. So when you're ready, inhaling. Om Shanti, my friends. Sleep well. Namaste.